Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mr. Fincham's Fireside Follow-Alongs, and today we are going to be starting a new story from our text collection, Pedro's Journal, and that starts on page 66. Right now I'm on 67 though. I was going to do the 2-page view for you guys, but I think the text is too small, so I'm just going to keep it this way. And as always, there are some questions for you guys to be answering for this reading today. And here is the first one. Look at the first paragraph on page 73. What does the reader learn about the captain? Look at the last paragraph. What does the reader learn about the narrator? So we're going to be introduced to the narrator through the story and to the captain. What is one thing, or at least one thing, that you learn about each of them? Okay, and you're going to be looking on page 73 for that. So the last paragraph and the first paragraph. And the second question. Pedro was heading out to sea for a long period of time. What do you think life would be like if you were stuck on a ship? What would some positive things about it be? What would some negatives be? So if you are stuck on a ship for a long period of time, what are some positive things that might occur, or some good things about it? And what are some negative things? I'm going to be interested to see what you guys think. So, without further ado, let's move on to Pedro's Journal. August 3rd. The ship's roster of the Santa Maria has me down as Pedro de Salcedo, ship's boy. And the captain of the ship, who calls himself Captain General of the Ocean Sea, has hired me not for my great love of the sea, nor my seamanship, but because I have been taught to read and write, and he thinks it will be useful to have me along. Last night when I boarded the Santa Maria with 40 others and made ready to begin this uncertain journey to India, I saw my mother standing alone on the dock, wrapped in her black shawl. She lifted her hand to wave, and I turned away quickly. I have never been away from our home. I have never been on a ship as great as this one. I dedicate this journal, this parcel of letters and drawings, to my dear mother, who has lost so much, and who I pray will not lose me as well. Me, her young boy whom she calls Pedro de mi corazón, Pedro of my heart. So all of these pages are going to be kind of like diary entries from Pedro on his trip, okay? Next page. We are a fleet of 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta with us, and this morning in the darkness, with no one watching or waving goodbye, we left the harbor at Palos and headed out for the sandbar of the Salts River. There, we waited for the tide and wind, and then made way to the Canary Islands. We are about to be the first ships ever to run a course west to the Indies, Marco Polo's land, where palaces are built of gold, where mandarins wear silk brocade, and pearls are the size of ripened grapes. And so here is Pedro here, getting ready to take off. A couple of the men are seasick and are already mumbling that we will never see this India our Captain General is so certain he will find. Me, I have no knowledge of maps or charts or distant journeys. I am only a ship's boy. There are 3 of us, and I am beginning to suspect that we will do all the work no one wants to do. But already the captain favors me, and has called upon me to write and to copy certain things of his writings. I believe he is testing me, and will find out I am capable and write a good hand. The captain told me he was pleased to see my stomach is as strong as my handwriting, and has encouraged me to sketch some of the things I see around me. Perhaps I am a natural seaman, although I admit that looking over the side of this creaking ship into the swelling water can fill me with terror. So Pedro's getting a little worried. The captain seems to like him, but remember, he's never been away from home before, and he's going on this giant journey, right? And so we're going to go to the next page. Let's take a look at this picture first. So here is Pedro, right? Here's Pedro. He has his journal in his hand. And here is the captain. Looks like he's talking with him. And here's another picture. And there's Pedro, kind of just documenting everything that he sees going on, right? So page 73. September 10. Everyone seemed crazy all day. No one is doing his job well. Even the helmsman steered improperly and took us north instead of west. I thought the captain would string up the whole crew to the mast. "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted. "Steering a ferry boat across the river of Seville?" I've seen him go into white rages and then pace his small cabin saying his Hail Marys. We finally lost sight of land as we sailed west. Some say it will be a long time before we see it again, if at all. A couple of the men were crying, and the captain shamed them, and he then promised them all sorts of riches and fame. He said that the first man to spot land will receive a reward of 10,000 maravedis. The men listened to him sullenly, and I see them exchange glances. They don't believe him, and after what I saw this morning, I wonder if they should. I noted that this morning's slate said we had made 180 miles, and yet the captain recorded only 144 in his official log that the men see. I believe he is trying to make the crew believe that we are closer to home than is true. But 10,000 maravedis? Ah, think of all I could buy for my mother. Even now I can picture a beautiful dress, a rich dress that she could wear at Mass at Easter. I will keep a sharp eye. I will be the first to spot land. So, let's go back to the first entry. The first entry from Pedro is August 3rd. So the first one is in August, right? He's talking about how he might be a little bit worried, but he's excited that the Captain General of the Ocean Sea, as they call him, hired him, right? Not because he's good on boats, but because he can read and write, and he thinks it'll be useful to have him along. So Pedro's job is just to kind of document what's going on, almost like a reporter would. Now, the captain and the people on the boat don't seem to be getting along that well. As you see here, about a month and a week later, in September 10th, Pedro says that on the morning slate that they had traveled 180 miles. But the captain only put down 144. And the men see this number here. So he thinks that the captain might be lying to the crew. And then he also offers them money for the first person to spot shore. So why would he do that? Is it a way to keep the people on the boat, maybe keep them happy or keep them hopeful, right? They're not going to be so upset about being trapped at sea if they know there's a chance that they can win a lot of money, right? And for that, we're going to stop there for today. And just to recap, I know this was a short chapter here, or a short section. There are some questions that you guys should be answering, and here's the first one. And I'll actually go to that page now for you so you can see it. Look at the first paragraph on page 73. Okay, so here's 73. Here's the first paragraph. What does the reader, that's you, learn about the captain? So what do you learn about the captain in that? And the last paragraph. Here's the last paragraph down here. What does the reader learn about the narrator? So what do you learn about the narrator? Well, who is the narrator? Who is the person who's telling us this story? Is it Pedro? Or is it somebody else? I want you guys to think about also, is this a first-person story? Or is it a third-person story? Who is telling this? Okay? If you guys can include that in your answer, that would be awesome. And then the second question is this. This is your text-to-self connection. And again, these are on your ELA questions and tasks. Pedro is heading out to sea for a long period of time. What do you think life would be like if you were stuck on a ship? What would some positive things about it be? What would be some negatives? So if you're like Pedro, you're like the crew, you're trapped on this ship. What might some good things be? What might some bad things be? And the extension may do. This also is on your ELA questions and tasks section of the newsletter for this week. What ideas does Pedro have about the Indies? How accurate do you think these ideas are, and why? So, they are traveling, right, on a ship. Pedro has some sort of idea of what the Indies are. What does he think about them? What are his ideas about the Indies? Do you think they're accurate? Why or why not? And there is also a link to our YouTube channel where we have a video for you guys called The Age of Exploration. You guys should definitely check that out too. You guys might think it's cool. But I want to know what you guys think about the story so far. I know that it was a little bit short, but let me know what you think. And you could shoot me a seesaw message or email me or leave them in the comments below. Until next time, you guys have a good day. I will see you later.